Yankee, Mr. Pineda, who is currently going as the 57th pitcher off the board, 210th overall, according to NFBC ADP data. That would put him right in the middle of the 17th round. Now, I personally am absolutely dumbfounded by Pineda's 2016 season. I mean, it feels like it was bad. His record, his ERA, nothing was great. And, you're reminded of the pine tar neck. I know Boston had their fun making fun of it. But yet, when you really look at his stat line, you have to do a double take. He made 32 starts, which in itself is a feat. And in that, he pitched 175 innings, striking out 207 batters. That's ridiculous to maintain a 10.6 K per 9 ratio throughout the entire season. He managed his walk rate a little, but he still gives up too many hits, resulting in a less than desirable WHIP of 1.35. The biggest knock against him was the lack of run support that saw him near the bottom of the league with an average of just 4 runs per game. Now, he's generating swings and misses as he owns the 4th best swinging strike percentage behind only Scherzer, Syndergaard, and the late Jose Fernandez. In fact, they were the only 4 to post a 14% or better swinging strike percentage, while everyone else wasn't even at 13 or above. The impression of Pineda may be less than stellar, as you can see by his ADP, but that was arguably the best season of his career. The Yankees' offense looks to be improved. And at 28, I feel like this guy's offering tremendous value versus current draft position. Ralph, am I missing something, or is he somebody that people are kind of overlooking unfairly?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like his risk-reward balance is sort of indicated in his ADP in a lot of drafts that I've been involved with, especially in a lot of my dynasty leagues as well, where we have sort of, preseason auctions and that sort of thing, almost akin to free agency. And Pineda is one of these guys where opinions in the room are typically very split on him. And he's an enigma. I mean, he's tough to figure out because, as you've mentioned, there are some great indicators there. He has some command issues at times, though control is usually pretty good. He's got a 2-pitch combo in his 2-seam fastball and slider that are as good as any in baseball, but he doesn't seem to trust his changeup enough, so there's some sequencing issues there, guys being able to sit on stuff. But if you look at those 2 pitches and you really isolate some of the numbers, the slider itself has a 24.2% swinging strike rate. It's an unbelievable pitch. It's a wipe-out slider. He's able to get great swings and misses on that, obviously. He mixes that with the 2-seam sinking fastball, which is his ground ball pitch. He's really transformed from a fly ball pitcher during his time in Seattle to a ground ball guy. And I think that's where some of his issues come into play. So he has the high swing and miss stuff. I mean, as you mentioned, the 10.6 K per 9. The walk rate is always very good. 2.72 this year, 14.1% swinging strike rate. But what he has started to do is he keeps the ball really low in the zone. And because he works so much in the zone, when he misses with these pitches now, as opposed to in the Seattle days where, he worked a little bit higher in the zone, and if a fastball missed it might miss as a ball up, where now it's missing middle. So he's leaving the ball exposed in the middle of the plate. He, pitches obviously in the AL East. You're going to have to pay in almost all those ballparks, particularly Yankee Stadium. And I think that's where his issues are coming from. So I think if he can tick, a little bit in the right direction in terms of his command, being able to not miss middle with those fastballs so much, maybe even try to get some fly balls, work a little bit higher in the zone. So when he does miss, it's not as devastating. I think there could be some tweaks there with Pineda where he could really take, the next step forward. The swing and miss stuff is there. There's a lot of indicators that are really good with Pineda. So he's somebody maybe worth taking a gamble on. But he's risky.
So from what it sounds like, you are not comfortable, taking stock and owning him yourself. And I'm curious as to why, because you said it's a bit risky, but it's, mid 17th round. How much of a gamble are you really taking? Doesn't this guy have extreme upside? I mean, if you look at, like I said, the run support was dreadful in 2016. The K rate was ridiculous. The only real negative was the lack of wins, more than likely because of that run support or lack thereof. And, the whip, of course, the ERA wasn't great. I think it was mid 4s or, low mid 4s. But if I could tell you that those wins doubled and he had a dozen this year, kept the K ratio and kept all the other peripherals, is that something you think is providing you value, at least a lot higher than the 57 starting pitcher off the board?
Yeah, and I actually have drafted Pineda a few places, and I've signed him in a few auctions. But I think there is some risk there, and I think we need to bring that up. I think another thing that I didn't necessarily get into so much is this guy had the worst infield fly ball ratio of any pitcher in the major leagues. That's the number one indicator of weak contact. I talk about it week after week after week, and I think the problem with Pineda is he misses bats and he gets guys to swing, and guys do miss a lot on it, so he gets the strikeouts. He'll have his stellar games. But when he misses and guys make contact, they really make contact, and that's a bit scary. So, like I said, with some tweaks there, he's somebody I'll take a gamble on at his ADP. But I mean, I'm not going to go out there and say he's going to be a top 20 pitcher next year.